So what? I mean, that's what I say all the time. So what? I mean, look at today's Drudge Report, and you know what the Drudge Report is, right? Is the Romney Report. It is there to make Romney look good, and there are reports out there that's saying that Matt Drudge agreed with the Romney campaign to place articles that are pro Romney, even during the primaries. I mean, if you notice all these like pro Romney, anti Kane, anti Ron Paul, all these things uh, on the Drudge Report, you see that Drudge, who is pro Catholic and pro Mormon, basically that's what he is. I mean, if you see all the articles he places about Pope Ratzinger, oh, he's very good, that Pope Ratzinger, and he's calling for unity and faith and all that bullshit. So today he has linked on the Drudge Report this article about Joe Biden, all because Joe Biden dared to give dating advice to the firefighters. And so what? What's the big deal about this? So here's the article. Joe Biden has spent the past few days hitting the campaign trail for President Barack Obama, and as usual, his stops have been filled with many memorable moments and quotes. Today, Mr. Biden was in Ohio, where he visited the fire department in Parma Heights along with his daughter Ashley and former Ohio Governor Ted Strickland. Though the pool reporter Politico's Donovan Slack said he had a hard time hearing any of the exchanges Mr. Biden had with the people who came out to meet him, Mr. Slack managed to eavesdrop. Oh, yeah. I wonder what this guy's agenda was. How can you trust reporters now these days when they have political agendas now? I mean, yeah, the New York Times, the Washington Examiner, the Washington Post, and all these, yeah, left-wing, you can say liberal newspapers, but look what the conservatives are doing and their response to this. It's not like, well, let's have neutral, bias-free news reporting agencies. No, what do they come out with? Newsbusters. They come out with, and Newsbusters is supported by what, the Koch brothers and all these other conservative reactionaries and these Wall Street criminals to promote the right-wing agenda, which is all bullshit, by the way. And you see Newsbusters, you see Drudge, you see all these right-wing, supposedly neutral. They're not neutral, and Fox News tries to play itself as fair and balanced, and look what they do. All the time, they promote the Republican Party's platform, all the time. So, again, I always say to myself, do I trust this reporter? Sometimes I don't. And yeah, conservatives are right. I mean, there's a lot of bias. But then what do you do in reaction to that bias is that you are biased as well. You create your own biased conservative newspaper. Yeah, like that's going to help. Mr. Slack managed to eavesdrop on the vice president giving a little dating advice to a fireman and his preteen daughter. According to the pool reporter, Jerry Mullock was one of about a dozen firefighters who came out to meet Mr. Biden. Mr. Mullock was accompanied by his son and daughter, whom Mr. Slack described as a boy of about 8 or 9 and a preteen girl of about 11 or 12. You know, sometimes you cannot tell ages. My nephew, well, one of my nephews, he's taller than me, way taller than me. And he looks a little bit older than me, and I mean, I'm 30 and he's 16. Or 15, I think he is. So you can't really tell the ages. I mean, you can't. I mean, I try most of the time, but this is what he says. After working the rope line, Mr. Biden apparently threw his arm around the children and called Mr. Mullock over to chat. Quote, I hope you've got a big fence around your house, Mr. Biden said while smiling at the young girl. He then addressed the young girl directly, saying, "No serious dates until you're 30." Well, what's wrong with that advice? Look, I've been through a lot of these situations myself as a young kid. My parents' friends would come over, shorty, beanbag. I mean, well, we have these these nicknames for all of my dad's friends. My mom didn't have that many friends. Oh, the parrot. She had a friend. We named her the parrot because she talked on and on and on for hours, and usually she would spread rumors about other people and all the ladies in the neighborhood and all that. The Breakfast Club. Well, if you understand my family, you know what I mean. The Breakfast Club. My mother would have these meetings with all these girls, and well, they're all women at her age. And they would just, like in the morning, around 7 o'clock in the morning while I'm trying to get up to go to school. And then they would just like sit around the table and they'll just talk about shit. About other people behind their backs. You know so and so? Well, now he's dating that minor, that 17-year-old girl. And his dad doesn't approve. And the brother is now going to open a business with the guy. You know, it's just like, what the fuck? Yeah, well, my family always had strange friends and relatives and all that. But what is the big deal anyway? I mean, he just gave his opinion. And this really looks like Joe Biden is trying to connect with the people. I mean, the problem with Obama and to a lot of extent, also Romney, is that they don't connect with anybody. I mean, Joe Biden is the only one I see is trying to connect with the people. And you see Mitt Romney, who is a Scrooge, a billionaire Scrooge who doesn't want to connect with the people. How can he connect with the people? He probably just stand there and just like wave and hi. Hi, little girl. You're gonna get your daddy to vote for me? And conservatives always like, and this is what's so funny about this shit, is that conservatives always complain that, you know, Joe Biden, he cannot relate to the people. He cannot talk to the people. He cannot be like them. I mean, yeah, he's actually being very normal here. I mean, this is what happens all the time. At least it happened to me. A lot of these older dudes would come in and give me advice about how to get pussy, even though they didn't know I was a homo. But, you know, I still took that advice anyway, but I changed it from pussy to asshole or cock. Well, cock. So. And I thanked them for their advice and I just moved on. You know, what's a big deal? But Drudge, he's making this a big deal. Oh no, Joe Biden is giving out advice on how to date people. And when to date. Yeah, 30 years old, I think that's a little bit too old to date. I think you should be dating around, 22, 23. That's when you're a little bit mature. But I guess he's trying to say, and I agree to some extent to this notion that when you're 30 years old, now you see the world for what it is. That, like, what's happening to me. You see the world for what it is. And you mature. Now, that doesn't mean that when you mature, you don't become an asshole. It just means that you matured. It means you're able to think things twice and you're able to actually know a little bit more. And it makes it a lot easier to date. I find that that's the case many times. I mean, my own personal experience. So, I don't know. I don't know why they're taking this seriously. And this is really what's fascinating about this whole thing again, is that conservatives yell and scream that gay marriage is a distraction, even though they're the ones who are promoting these marriage amendments. Oh, we could have distracted the people from the economy, right? And look what they're doing. This is on Drudge. This is a an important headline. It's on all caps. Joe Biden gives advice. Ooh. Talk about a distraction. No, this is not a distraction. It is to show people how dumb Joe Biden is. Right? But what I say is he's just trying to connect with people. This is his way of connecting with people, to relating to people, and I don't know. Maybe he has his own personal experience on why he's giving out this type of advice. And he's more, I don't know, people friendly than Obama. Definitely. I mean, you see Obama trying to connect with people? No. I mean, it's really, he looks like a Disney automatronic. Those weird robots that they have at Disneyland. Mitt Romney, he is definitely one hell of a Disneyland ride. I mean, people knew really who this guy is. You wouldn't be voting for this guy at all. Not at all. But there you go. Conservatives. Ooh, Joe Biden giving out advice. Oh no, he's telling kids when to date. Yeah, when they're 30 years old. Hey, maybe those kids might take that advice. They say, hey, the vice president came down to my dad's fire station and he told us not to date till we're 30, and that's probably true. Maybe I'll have sex on the side. I don't know. Maybe you'll see people while you're in your 20s. And then when you're 30, then you can talk about dating and getting married and serious relationships. I mean, I think when you're 20 years old, you can probably start like dating and just messing around and all that. The problem with me and my personal experience when I was 20, 21 years old and all that is that I wanted a serious relationship right off the bat. And I learned from that mistake. I really did. And a lot of homos did hopefully learn from that mistake. That was a huge turnoff. And I didn't realize it until somebody did it to me. When I was about 20, I don't remember how old I was. This was right after one of my serious relationships I had. After one of my serious ones. Then this guy I met on the internet. I think it was the internet. Back then it was just like chat rooms and stuff. Now we have I don't know what we have. Grindr. Back then we had JavaScript basic chat rooms. And I would meet a guy and I met this guy. He was very, very attractive. He was muscular and everything. He had a body. But what was in his mind really scared the fuck out of me. I mean, he wanted to date me. I mean, we dated, right? We went on 2 dates. On the second date, he wanted a serious relationship now. He didn't want me to see other guys. He didn't want me to talk to other guys. Because he thought I was going to screw around. I mean, he was totally oppressive. On the second date, he wanted me to, be his wife, basically. And that was scary too. And that happened to me. That was the first time, and he kept calling, because when I stopped talking to him, I was like, okay, this is too weird. He kept calling me every day, and 3 or 4 times a day, he would say what I'm doing. He would ask what I was doing that day and where I was going and all that shit. And then I was like, no way, Jose. I'm gonna put an end to this shit. So I did. I stopped answering the phone. Oh, he kept calling and calling, emailing me and all that shit. He stopped by my house. I told my mom not to answer the door, but he was a creepo. And the thing is, we didn't even fuck. We haven't even fucked, and he was on the second date already wanting me to be like his wife. So I mean, he had a gorgeous body, and I wanted to see him naked. But you see, I was being shy. I was being like, normal. I wasn't being aggressive or anything. But he was. I mean, he was over the top. And then there was this other guy who I met at a club. So I met him one day, and then the next week, because I only went every Friday. The next Friday that I went, he was already over me. I mean, not well. He was all over me. I mean, he had his arms around me, and he basically like held me towards him. Like I couldn't even like go dance or go to the bar and drink or anything like that. And he was my boyfriend. After the second week that I attended this nightclub, he was my boyfriend. I was like, what the fuck is this? He wouldn't let me know. He was beside me. He tell people that I was his boyfriend and we were together and all this shit. I'm like, what? So when I went through that shit, my mid-20s, I was like, oh no, I can't believe I was almost doing that. Almost doing that. And I learned from that. That's how you learn about dating, is when you go through experiences. And if somebody like Joe Biden comes along and he gives you advice, all right, thank you, Grandpa. Thank you for the advice. We had this family friend of ours, Shorty. He was in his 60s. He was really short. He was like at least 5 foot something, but he was really short. And everybody called him Shorty, and he hated that name, but my dad kept calling him Shorty. But he gave me all this advice, like how to cheat on a girl. Make sure you delete that caller ID. It went through his phone because that was back then when cell phones were coming out with caller IDs and stuff like that. So he was going through his phone, trying to delete all the delete all the calls that were coming in, so that way his wife wouldn't find out. But I don't know what happened. I guess the wife found out that he was seeing other girls and fucking other women. But he was ugly, though. He was fucking ugly as hell. I don't know what... Oh, well, he was basically being their sugar daddies. I mean, that's what he was. A sugar daddy. So... But he gave me a lot of advice. How to not get caught while you're cheating on your spouse. What to do if your girlfriend is asking for too much money. How to lie to your girlfriend that what you bought her was really expensive. Oh, I remember all those advice. And you think I'm actually going to apply that shit? No, no, thank you. That was all based on his experience, and he ended up in the gutter. I mean, that's what happened to that guy. I think he's already dead. He must be, if he's alive, he must be in his 90s, I think. Shorty, that was his name, Shorty. Everybody call him Shorty. But when somebody gives me personal advice, I don't really get angry. I just go, fine. But nothing really beats personal experience. Not even advice. Because people can give you advice and you can say, okay, I don't want to go through that. But it's also very dependent upon, perception and what makes you feel more comfortable and all that. So, that's the deal with that.